I take it, yeah.
Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to Hands Across the Water. Tonight we thought we'd just go on for, it was a bit of a last minute thing, but we've got an Englishman, a Scotsman, an Ulsterman. There's definitely a joke in there somewhere in that concoction of people. But as always, Marcus from Hands Across the Water, great to have you on again, Marcus.
Hey, thanks. Looking forward to it and discussing bits and pieces with yourself and Scott. Looking forward to it.
And our good friends from Not Another Rangers podcast. Scotty, how you keeping, mate?
I'm not bad. Good after last night. It was good being at Ibrox last night and seeing us winning, keeping the challenge going, do you know what I mean? But we'll obviously talk about the game, but that was good. Plus I'm off tomorrow, so that helps.
Well, that's even better. So it is. Well, we'll start off. But obviously, good news is that that's what the show's called. Rangers are on the hunt, and we got ourselves 3 points closer again. Like when Danny Rule came in, I think it was 14 points the gap was, and if we're all being honest with each other, it was just damage limitation. We weren't probably looking to win any league titles if we were being honest with ourselves. It was just try and get ourselves sorted for next season, and hopefully have a good end of the season. But Marcus, it's going well for us so far. Maybe when you're in 3 points now within the leaders, which is something we couldn't have dreamt of months ago, but the team have done it again.
Yeah, I mean, it's since the Heart setback, so to speak. 8 games, 7 wins and a draw is remarkable, really, putting in a lot of pressure. And although other games were called off last night, we did our bit, and that inadvertently actually puts a lot of pressure on because we've narrowed the gap, and 24 is the goal difference, so that's another bit of pressure. So you can only do what you can. So, and Baz, I think, made a point when we spoke on Monday that maybe a point at Hibs isn't quite as bad as we thought, and got to put it into context. And I think that's actually looking like it now. So we did everything we could, and closing the gap, and that's certainly going to put pressure on the other teams.
Yep, no, I agree with you there, Marcus. What about yourself, Scotty? It's as Marcus says there, Baz was talking, and everyone was down on Monday and after the game on Sunday, as you do. With Rangers, we all live and die by Rangers. That's the way we do these podcasts, and everyone listening and watching is the same thing, Scotty. If we're up, we're up. If we're down, we're down. But look, all in, going to Easter Road and getting the point wasn't probably the worst situation, especially with how we played. And you are going to have games, Scotty, aren't you? You're just not on it, and that was one of those. But they still come out with a point. Looking at it now, it's probably a point gained if you're going to, if you look at the position we're in the league.
After Sunday, William, I was really down. I thought that was that. I thought that was a really poor Hibs side. They were missing quite a few players with a few young lads on their side, and I thought this is probably the best time to play them. But we were awful the full game. We didn't deserve a point, to be honest with you. Hibs, we were lucky to get a point. I thought Hibs should have beat us. So I was thinking to myself, for these players to get themselves back in the title hunt, and they're going to let themselves down again, because we know what some of these players have done considering the start of the season. We know what they do. They can hide at times. So Monday, I was quite downbeat. I thought we're going to need a wee bit of luck here. But after obviously where we started from, and Danny Rule came in, you're thinking this is great. But we've went from there. We've went from down here, because I've mentioned on the pod you before saying we'll never get back in this title race. The season's finished. And then we went back up there again, and we're all ecstatic, and this is fantastic. So I think it's the PSD with Rangers, isn't it? You just don't know what Rangers are going to see at times, and backflashes come back. Like that's the Rangers for a couple of seasons ago. That's the Rangers for the start of the season, and you get your hopes up at times, and then you get a bit frustrated. So I keep saying to myself, one game at a time, but you don't want to get too far ahead. But sometimes it's hard not to look ahead because there's not many games left. And you're saying to yourself, we've got a chance here. And then Sunday comes along and kicks you between the nuts, and you're like, my God, we just blew it again. So I still think, you said it's a good point, but I still think it's We've got more difficult games coming up. Motherwell is going to be really hard. And obviously playing against Celtic, and then you've got Hearts as well coming up shortly. So there's a lot more difficult games coming up in Hibs, I'm afraid. So I think that was still 2 points drop more than a point in gain. But hopefully you're correct, and it is a point in gain coming in the season.
Yeah. That as Marcus Scotty's right when he's saying there, like the PTSD for Rangers, like we all have it, and we do. We've been through so much. Even we got ourselves excited again under Clement for a while, and we've seen how that ended up after a trip to, been a few trips to Ross County and Dundee. The ones that you just had the boxes ticked. There's 6 points, and then the next minute it's all over near enough. So it does happen, and I think that's what Marcus has got the Rangers supporters so shaky, and we always think, that's it, we've no chance now. But the way things fell for us after that game, to be fair, Hearts losing to St Mirren, Ulsterman and Stevie Robinson doing us another favour this season, and obviously they couldn't play their match against Aberdeen because of waterlogged pitch. So we were going into the Kilmarnock game thinking, right, hold on, we win our match. They obviously can't play their game. Hearts have lost their game. You're 3 points behind. And everybody got that buzzing feeling going into the match yesterday.
I think the apprehension showed. I wasn't at the game. I watched it, and I think the disappointment with the performance, as Scott has said there on Sunday, and I think that was sort of carried over in the first half, didn't it? And I think that's why the crowd reacted in the way that they did. A bit of apprehension, bit of disappointment. But fortunately, as we know, after Miovski scored after 58 minutes, the game sort of changed a bit, and then with the changes, we sort of went on to a different level. I know it's everything we say tonight. I guess we've got to put a disclaimer, if you like, that we're playing against a team second from bottom who are struggling a little bit. They had a player sent off after 4 minutes, but that can be taken into account, but Rangers have still got to do what they've got to do, haven't they? I don't think the team in September, in the same circumstances, would have won 5-1. So in that respect, I think it was a decent job done.
What's your thoughts on it, Scotty? As Marcus says, or maybe when you go into the match, you're 1-0 up very, very early on. Kilmarnock get a man sent off, and you're thinking, right, here we go, we have these guys here, and then the first half sort of peters out a bit, and the supporters obviously getting a bit disgruntled right through the half, and things just weren't going the way we were probably expecting them to, and obviously a few boos at half time. I think Danny Rowe made a comment to that, but I think Danny Rowe needs it. Well, I'm not going to I understand where he's come from, because he wants, he's like, look, guys, give me a bit of a break here. Look where we were when I came in, look where we are now. But I think it's also what you just said there too, Scotty. It's just maybe the fans worrying and expecting something to go wrong and go, but in the end, if Rangers played well, got the job done. But what did you what did you think of Danny Rowe's comments on the fans?
To be honest with you, I don't like fans booing, but I'll sit here and I'll tell you I booed at the start of the season against Russell Martin, obviously against the other two clowns, Thelwell and Stewart, but that was more because of damage they were doing to Rangers, not because the performances of what some to Russell Martin, but the other two were doing a lot of more damage to the club as a whole. But I don't think as many people booed last night as the media are making out, because I was there and I didn't think as many people booed. I never booed. I was fed up, to be honest. I wasn't so much fed up. It's frustration. You play against somebody with 10 men. Listen, we've been down to 10 men in the past where we won games, even 9 men. We won the League Cup, remember, against St Mirren with 9 men. So it can be difficult. But I think after getting 1-0 up after 4 minutes, everybody just expected it's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5 before half time that way, because they've got 10 men, you've got an extra man. But Rangers, for some reason, didn't produce. The passing was slow, it was timid. The passing was quite off, to be fair. I thought Raskin's passing was quite poor in the first half. They weren't really getting Miovski involved in the game. He was coming deeper and deeper. Asgard could have sat next to me because he didn't really put an input at all, to be fair. Gassama was poor. I just thought overall the team, it was like they were waiting somebody else to do something for them. They were waiting on something to happen, but they weren't the ones that wanted to do it. And I think it was more with the fans out of frustration that was actually anger or whatever. It's like I said earlier, we're all excited, but we're all nervous. And I think that's probably what it is. I know I've heard some people saying the atmosphere wasn't great, but it's not so much atmosphere. we're all going wanting to win, but we're also going scared in case we don't. Because how many times have we been in a position in the past where the other team have lost and we're thinking, if we can win this, we can go second or we can go first. And we failed. And it doesn't matter who we're playing against, we failed. So I think it's a lot of that. It's like, we're looking forward to the game, but also it's like, are we really? And then obviously Queen's Park on Sunday, they beat us last season. So it's like, we're going to game against Queen's Park thinking we should take 4 or 5 off them. But that, you don't know if that will happen just because you've got the experience of when Kilmarnock is there. So it's a lot of nerves that the fans are expecting. And I think sometimes it's no fair on the players because it couldn't go into the field. But this isn't against the players of Danny Murphy. This is just nervous frustration. And I think it's going to happen again because we're not going to win every game probably, or we're going to have performances like that. But then the flip side, in the second half, the fans were singing Daniel's name. They were cheering away because we were with a comfortable lead. Do you know that way? So it's like the players have to do their bit, but we also have to do our bit. But I think Daniel is right saying something because I don't think he wants the players, because you know yourself, William and Marcus, some of these players do hide when it going gets tough.
Yeah.
And if the fans aren't behind them, they might think, I don't want to be the one to make a mistake here because I don't want to be criticised. So I think there's a wee line we don't want to cross, but I can understand it to a point because the fans do get frustrated.
Yeah, no, 100%, mate. I agree with you, Scotty, what you're saying there. And so we'll move on to the second half. Let's talk about the fun part. Because all right, the first half was not just so much as fun as we were expecting it to be once they went 1 down. And as Scotty said there, like the fans were getting disgruntled, nervousness, panicking, thinking that, every time we've had a chance to go and counter another result, so many times we have failed to do it, Marcus. But in the second half, I thought Rangers come out, played a lot better. As you said, you made a comment there about Miovski's goal, which calmed everyone down. Lovely finish from outside the box. But when the new signings come on, Marcus, I thought Rangers just stepped up that gear. I thought we played very, very well.
Yeah, I think there was an improvement in the second half. I thought the pressing was a bit more urgent, and then Miovski scored. So I think the performance was better, but then even allowing for the fact I mentioned earlier about a man down, etc. The what was really encouraging was the difference that the new players made. Olsen, obviously, clearly 40 odd caps or 40 caps exactly for Denmark's clearly a good player. He's done okay, but I was really pleased that he got better distribution, and I thought he really showed what a good player he can be. His finish was fantastic for the goal, but even in general play, I thought he was good. Romans was a breath of fresh air, and I just think the fact he's overlapping his pace. I mean, Scotty, you were there, I guess. I think you said, did you say you were, Scotty? You were at the game?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, and the pace he had and the overlapping, and then when Antman came, that means he could move in field, and there's more room for the rest of the team. And as a result, I just think it opened everything up. And I thought I really like Nadiri as well. I think he's going to be a bit of a lump, putting himself around, but not just standing there purely as a target man. I thought his movement was good. So again, it's early days, but a gentleman in one of the comments earlier said that once those guys bed in, then I think it's going to present more opportunities, because we mentioned on Monday that we do need, and we've addressed the striker, which is good, but we also need to give the 2 wide guys the ball more, which I think we did, and then that in turn should create more chances. So it's early days, but there was a distinct difference, and I think it's really encouraging. I'm looking forward to seeing their development as we go from game to game.
Yeah, I'd say Richard made a really good comment here. It was something I actually said to Baz yesterday when we were chatting. Mikey, we were playing brilliant when the subs came on, playing better for better caliber of player. I also thought Scotty, even just as Marcus just brought up there about the movement and stuff, that the players were doing, the new guys come on, even Nadiri as being a striker, he won the ball a few times, even coming back into the midfield to win the ball and then sprinting back up. But when the legs ends making his movement, Romans was making his movement, Olsen was doing different things. And I thought that definitely opened up the play for the likes of Mickey Moore to really shine, and even though he's normally the guy we give the ball to try and get something to happen, but sometimes you can't get that ball through because we're maybe not making the right movement. But when them guys come on and we're making those runs and pulling Kilmarnock left, right, and centre, it really let Mikey Moore then just be the conductor and show us what he can do when he's got quality players around him.
Yeah, I mean, Mikey Moore was superb last night. In the first half, he was the only one that was kind of trying to do stuff. He was the only one running at them last night. He was trying to make stuff happen, but there was no movement at all. I think just in the second half, they moved the ball a lot quicker. We weren't moving the ball quick at all. A lot of it was sideways and backwards, whereas in the second half, we were moving it quicker, but we started passing forward. Diot was trying to get behind the lines. Miovski was kind of not coming back as deep, but we were just moving the ball quicker in general. We were actually moving our legs as well, and then you seen it when the quality comes on. I mean, I thought Gassama was poor and Asgard was poor. They're still going to contribute between now and the end of the season, but I think with Ant-Man coming in and looking half decent last night, Olsen, you've got Nadiri and starting. You've got, I mean, we were missing Big Fernandez as well last night, so I think with the guys coming on, there's quality there now, whereas before we maybe lacked a bit of quality. So I think you could play Olsen one side, you could play Ant-Man on the other side, and I think his best position for making Moore is just a free roll. I don't think you pigeonhole him into a position. I just think you just say to the lad, just go out there and enjoy yourself, because he puts a smile on his face, but he gets others involved. But you seen it last night, Marcus said it himself, when Romans come on, he was running, so when he runs, the defender goes with him because you don't want to leave him. And then Ant-Man was there, so he was moving one side, Mike Camille was coming across, Olsen was coming across, even Deal was getting involved. There's that many movement. The Kilmarnock players are suddenly, we were disciplined in the first half because we were just at walking pace. They didn't have to move, but we were moving about. And yeah, we've got an extra man, but you still have to move teams about. The extra man just isn't going to win it itself. So we moved them about, we passed the ball quick, and that's why we created more. But that's all the fans are asking for. William, it's not. I know it sounds simple, but if we can see the players trying and we don't want to, we can see whatever it's a draw. It's not as bad a reaction. It's when we see the walking pace stuff, the timid stuff. You see Asgard coming back 20 yards and Pat getting the ball and then passing it back away and just walking back. And it's like, we don't want that. There's only 13 games left. We need more on this. But then you see Mikey Moore doing the total opposite. Gisama was poor last night, but Ant-Man, come on, give him his credit. A lot of people thought he might have been away in the window, but he's come on last night and he must have thought to himself, I've got a full back willing to go by me and I've got somebody else cutting across me, and then the space opens up and you see him scoring a good goal. It's like, because not when he's stuck on the other side, he didn't look as comfortable either, but you stick him on the left, he looks more comfortable. So I think there's options there for Daniel, and I think that's what he wants. And I think the team he started with isn't going to be a team he starts with a lot. I just think the new guys come in, he wanted to give them more time to bed in, more training sessions, stuff like that. So we get better quality, but the second half is night and day. Yeah, we're playing against Kilmarnock, they're second bottom of the league, and they've only won one in so many, but you still have to beat that side. You just can't take it for granted because you're playing against 10 men, you're going to. And that's what I mean, because he showed it in the second half. We won 5-1 quite comfortably, apart from obviously the mistake with Butland, but it was quite comfortable in the end, even though when I watched the highlights, Neil McCann said it wasn't a 5-1 game. It was really, because the first half, Kilmarnock had one chance, didn't they, with Bruce Anderson, who should have scored. But the second half, they didn't really get up the park because we upped our tempo of the game.
Yeah, no, but that I know that was Neil McCann. A couple of his comments afterwards, I was sitting going, he's trying to pretend he didn't he hasn't a Rangers man or something. Just so he was like really super like he should have got
not getting the job.
It should be me in this dugout. But yeah, but as Scotty says there, Marcus, like there's so many positives. There's a few negatives too. The likes of Asgard and stuff, like he's been there, a good 6 months now, and he's still playing that passive, slow football that the fans just do not want to watch, and it's Scottish football, it's always flat out, it's always constant. You don't get time in the ball. You would think the likes of Asgard would sort of catch on to that now, but and Gassama too at times, and Gassama can be, there's moments of brilliance from Gassama, there's no doubt in it, but at times sort of drift out of games. So even the Hibs game again, like Kasama come off at half time in the Hibs match or whatever. Whenever he came off, he didn't even know he was on the pitch. I actually forgot he was on the pitch. So they can do that. Some of these players, whether when the new guys came on last night, you knew every one of them were on the pitch because they were doing that much running about, even off the ball, they're mad in the ball, and that was a difference. But finally, we've got ourselves, Marcus, a good bench now that if some players aren't on it, there's guys on the bench at least who should be able to come on and contribute.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was a bit confused about the team selection, and it made me realise I should learn and listen to Danny Roll before making an adjustment. And obviously, Fernandez and Chimiti were injured, Sterling rested, so that sort of accounted. And he made obviously a clear decision: do I start the new signings or bring them on? And I'm sure that they'll start. But even when those players, and let's remember, we didn't even see Chukwueze last night. He was obviously in the squad, but didn't. Danny Roll again. I think he seems to be very, very meticulous with the sports science department and that about minutes. And he probably thought, do you know what? I don't need him to play. Although you could have a counter argument, he needs games, but he has played a reasonable amount, and no doubt will be saved, so to speak. But you think that he can come into the team as well. Most of those players will start, in which case some players will go to the bench. But suddenly we look as if we've got slightly more strength and depth. Just wanted to mention, going on from what Scotty said about Antman, I think I was a little bit worried in case he would sort of turn out a bit like Joe Rothwell, who we discussed last week. I just don't think he ever got going really, because he was playing in a poor team. He got injured, but now he seems to be coming back. And I think with a little bit of freedom, then I'm confident that he will actually, whether he starts or not, will be a good addition for us. So suddenly the whole squad just looks a little bit stronger, frankly. And also there's quite a lot of flexibility in the squad. I'm not sure whether Danny Roll wants or believes in having a firm number 6, because at the moment, this leading up, we've been quite successful, but we've had a variety of players in a sort of triangle, if you like, in midfield, or maybe he just feels that until we've got Chukwueze, maybe no player is particularly suited to that. So it'll be interesting to see if there's a bit more rigidity in the formation. But I do agree what Scotty said there about I think Mikey Moore. Whether you want to advance midfield, a number 10, call it what you will. I think Mikey Moore would be fantastic there. I think that's a bit of a free role. But yeah, I mean, there's versatility now. I mean, Magoma, I just think he's been amazing. The guy's played not even 20 senior games when he joined Rangers. He's never played at left back. He played at left wing back. He's had to learn on the job. He's done a fantastic job. I don't think he's going to suddenly be discarded. He'll be a really valuable member of the squad. But certainly Roman's coming in there, looks very strong. So hopefully if we can keep people fit, then the composition of the team and the squad is a lot stronger than, say, a month or so ago.
Yep, I think Antman, maybe Scotty has what would his problem be? A bit like Olsen came in and maybe wasn't too impressive the first couple of games because he's only new in the team. Wherever Antman was the opposite. He had a blinder of our first game, and everyone was like, "Here we go, we've got a world-class player here." And obviously, once Russell Martin got his hands on him properly and showed him a few tactics, it started to go wrong there. But seeing him on the left-hand side, where he has played quite a few games for Finland, and that's somewhere we haven't really seen him before, Scott. And I thought he was excellent on that left-hand side. But it also helps when you've got the likes of Romans doing the running he done as well. Do you know what I mean? And if you've got all these guys playing well for each other like that, if you're going like say for Park, because we're going to have to be honest, Scotty, yourself, that Motherwell team this season, I've said it so many times, they're probably the best football side in the country at the minute. But the way Rangers played the second half, we could very easily be the best football side. But I'm just going what I've seen all season. They've been very good. It's going to be a tough place to go. But if you have the likes of your likes of Romans making those runs, the big guy up front, Nadiri and Olsen in his class, if Antman starts coming on the game, Mikey Moore starts doing the free role you were talking about, then you're going into that game a lot more confident, aren't you?
Yeah, William, and I think the Motherwell game is going to be very difficult. They are on a run. They've been on a run most of the season, and they don't concede a lot. They've only lost 3 games the whole season. One of them to us, right enough. But I think we're going to have to start better. We started our last 3 games, to be fair. Last night, Hibs and Dundee, I think we're going to have to be far better in the first half and overall. Because I don't think the chances that Hibs missing, the chances that even the chance Kilmarnock missed, I don't think Motherwell will maybe let us off as easily. Because you've seen that at Ibrox, they had a few chances, and I think it will be difficult for Park's quite a tight park. We've got not a bad record there, to be fair, but I think we have to be up for it for kick off, and I think he's going to have to be pretty sure who he starts and who doesn't start. You can't have passengers at Fir Park. You're going to have to need guys that start for the first whistle, and I don't think Asgard's involved. I don't think Asgard's one of them. So listen, Roman's done really well when he came on. So did Ant-Man, but it's only the substitute appearance that Roman's everybody's getting really excited about, and me included. But we've not seen him defending yet. We've not seen him. He's going back to goal. How he performs. But what we've seen so far, we really like. And you know yourself, as a fan of a football fan in general, if you get a new player come in and he does really well, like you mentioned that man, you carried away very quickly. You think this signing's superb, and then the next performance is that. Is this the same bloke? So you kind of have to kind of wait out a bit. But Magoma's done really well. He's done superbly, like Marcus said. He's a young kid. He's not played a lot of football. He was at loan at Preston and didn't play a lot. And he's done really well for us, considering he's kind of only recognised left back since he's been in. So he's played a lot of football. He's done a lot. And he's never really let us down, to be fair to him. So I think Romans will come into a team, but I think because Jayden's played a lot of the season, I think Danny Rowe will still include him in games as well. So I think it could be a bit like it does with Tav, 1 in, 1 out. Tav, I have to say, played okay last night. He got the penalty, which was a lot of pressure. He done okay, probably just get subbed because he was on that yellow card. And he obviously made the challenge, which was one of the ones. It's how you look at it. He could have maybe went off, but I didn't think there was as much in it. I've watched it back in the tail. I don't see a lot in it, but you know yourself, with VAR and the refs up here, it could have went against us. So that's maybe how he went off. But plus, Tav gives you better quality, doesn't he? And Sterling does. Sterling, to me, is just... He offers a lot defensively when he's fit. But my problem with Sterling is he's not fit enough. And you can't keep carrying somebody who sits in the stands more than they run the park.
Yeah, no, I agree. I know what you're saying there, Scotty. Like he won't give you as much going forward, but I'll tell you what, as I did say I think it was on your show, I said it actually last week. Bubble wrap that man, and just fire him at Parkhead, fire him at Ibrox against them, and the Hearts games, and that's the truth, because that's where we're gonna. And this, see, to be honest, the Motherwell game as well, because they are going to attack us. We're going to need strong defenses, and I understand. You're right though. When you're playing your Kilmarnocks at home and stuff, and those kind of games, Tavernier, he got more freedom to go up, obviously, because you're not just as worried about your defense, and he has far more quality going forward. Maybe just hasn't got the legs as much now to play Thursday, every single week, but that happens us all. You know, as you get older, you just can't. But definitely for me, Sterling, for I'm saying that I don't mean the big games, the saying nasty about Tab. I'm just talking about the games you probably
do against Hibs, but William, do you not think against Hibs, Sterling was defensively, he was okay, but he didn't offer a lot for his going forward, and that kind of hampers us at times.
I think he maybe put him on too early, though. If you know what I mean, maybe because you know he was injured for a couple of weeks, or maybe it was because he was thrown in so early. But then he had Tavernier playing the whole game against Porto, and he obviously hasn't gone up. But maybe it was one of those ones. But I know what you're saying too. I agree with what you're saying, though. It wasn't his most impressive game either. Like, which is it's a fair comment. Trying to think if there's any questions in there. I don't think there is at the minute. I'll keep looking back to see if there is. But well, what about Scotty's comment, Marcus, on Magoma? I think that's a fair comment from Scott. I thought things Magoma's done very well, but a bit raw at the start. You know, obviously a young player coming in, but for being the only recognised left back we've had. And I know Romans has come on and everyone's like, oh yeah, he's a ball, which he is. He was fantastic. But Magoma deserves a lot of credit too, doesn't he? Because I think a young fella has really done well for Rangers since he's been with us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in danger of repeating myself, but you know, he barely played 20 senior games, never at left back. So it was just a necessity. So especially with Danny Rowe on the coaching team. I think he's been well coached, but that's one thing. But you're almost learning on the job, to be honest. And I think he's done really well. And also, I think a young player, the minutes that he would have clocked up, he'd probably be, or he'll want to play every game. It's probably good that he is sort of rested periodically. So I think Romans will come in. I think and he'll be, more and more prevalent in playing. But Magoma, I don't think he's going to suddenly disappear at all. I think he's going to, feature and continue with his development. I guess it's inevitable. I don't want to be negative, but I guess the predicament with the loan and that is likely he's not going to be around. But that's just for next season. But let's just make the most of it now, because I think he can make still within the squad, and when he plays, make a very significant contribution for us.
Yeah, I know, and this is the thing too, because Scotty, even if you're trying to get like some Magoma on loan again next season, if you've got now your full time left back and Roman's coming in, the likes of Bournemouth and stuff where he came from, they're going to want him obviously playing more games every week, and we'd probably not be able to offer just as much as we have obviously this season because he was the only one we had available. But these players like Magoma's definitely going to be getting used this season. There's no doubt about it. And the same as your Asgard, your Kasamas, all these players, we'll be needing all these players, Scott. But I'm hoping the likes of Asgard and Kasama and all these players, when they're sitting on the bench and watching the guys that came on yesterday, and hopefully it sort of shows them that that's the sort of standard I need to be. That's the pace you need to be to break these teams down. And hopefully maybe spark something in them, because a lot of players have been comfortable for a long time because there hasn't been many options, but now there is. Now they've seen, them sitting there after the game, during the second half yesterday, and they'd have been looking going, my place isn't guaranteed here for the next week. These big games coming up, if they want to be a part of it, they're going to have to make their mark when they get the chance.
Yeah, totally agree. I think Daniel alluded to that. He said he now feels he's getting like 2 players in each position. So you're going to have to, if you're not playing well, you have to come out and have to get somebody else in. And if they're playing well, for me, they keep the jersey. There's not a lot of games left between now and the end of the season. We've not have any European games left either. So I think if you're playing well, stay in the team. And then if you're not playing well, you maybe come out. And Asgard has contributed at times, but he's still not done enough for me. I know some players can take time to settle, which is correct. We've seen it. As long as you want to go back, we've seen players maybe take half a season, even a full season. You look at Mark Gately, for example, and even Alan McCoy saying through the door. So they took a while to settle in. Other players can come and hit the ground running. So I think Asgard's problem is, I'm still not sure. I don't know if you two agree, but still not sure he's suited to Scottish football. I know that's a bit of a cliche, people say, but I don't know. I just feel he's always looking for that extra 1 or 2 touches, and he likes to play at his own pace. And I don't think he can do that up here. I think he's more comfortable. For up 2 or 3-0, it's slightly different. But in games like away at Easter Road, and even last night when Kilmarnock were disciplined and just sitting, having a good structure, he was struggling to find space. I thought against Hibs he was hiding behind Hibs players who didn't receive the ball at times. But I don't know what you two feel about him. I think as a player, he's got a good physique. He's well built. You think this boy got all the attributes you want, but I don't know if he's got it up there for our Scottish football. And it's no disrespect to him. It's just some players just come up here and they just can't get into the way the game's played. And I think he may be one of them.
It's to be fair, Marcus. It's a good point. Just a name that comes to mind to me. Sorry, I was watching an old interview from years ago. It was actually Ray Wilkins. Ray Wilkins played for some of the greatest teams in England. Played for amazing teams on the continent, AC Milan and all. And even he said himself, when he first came up in his first couple of games, and he just said he was like that, and he went over to Walter and he goes, "I can't play this. There's no chance." And Walter's like, give it 6 months, you'll grow into it, you'll catch on. And obviously it didn't take him 6 months, so he done it a lot quicker than that. But even great players they got, Marcus, the greats have come up to Scottish football at times and it's just taken them a wee while just to go, well, hold on, it's football, but it's a complete different way of playing the game. And you have to approach it different.
Just before I go, I'll answer that question, William. It was a lovely when Ray Wilkins was with us. It's obviously very sad he's not now, but he used to be on TalkSport quite a lot, and a very funny dry sense of humour. and on a regular basis, he was very, very genuine on his affection for Rangers and the time. So it was actually, you could really tell, very, very, yeah, a great deal of affection, and certainly a wonderful footballer. He was fantastic. I think with regard to agree largely with what Scott has said there with regard to Asgard. I think he is a good player. I mean, in the free kick against Annan, some of the goals he scored, it's almost like sort of isolated instances, one off, he scores goals, whatever. But if you just take that away and it's just general contribution and movement, that's where I don't think the contribution's particularly great. And you know, he's an international, so he's clearly got, you know, he clearly is a good footballer. But I agree, maybe it's just the league that, you know, we mentioned Rothwell again. Maybe it's that situation. You've got to adapt. You've got to roll your sleeves up. You've got to have help with the coaching staff. But maybe for him, it's just not an environment that's just not particularly suited to him. And you know, again, as Scott said there, I think the thing that frustrates me is it's like putting it almost on pause when he's got the ball. And we want some pace, and we want somebody to put the fast forward button on. And so it'll be interesting. I mean, again, I'm sure he'll make a contribution between now and the end of the season, but it's interesting looking forward. The other thing I just wanted to point out as well, my thought process is with regard to the players coming in and out, the 4 ins and 7 outs. One thing I think is quite encouraging is that there seems to be a little bit more of a balance now of actually our players as opposed to loans. I remember at the start of the season, the back 4, for instance, you know, 3 of them were loans, and then John Suter was out of contract, and you're thinking, well, what on earth is going to happen? But there does seem to be a little bit of a tariff towards our own players. Of course, we need loans, and loans are very valuable to us. But I'm quite encouraged that there's a little bit of a leaning now towards our own players, and then we can fill in the blanks a little bit more with loans, because that was something when Danny Roll took over that I looked at it, and I think there was a bit of an imbalance. I'll be interested to see what you guys think of that.
Yeah, I'll answer that one first, and then I'll hand that one over to Scott. And I think you're right, Marcus. The problem for Rangers has been, and I think we can all agree on this, everyone watching, all the guys in the panel, it's always been, you bring players in, whether it's on loan or full-time players recently, for us more recent, and it's a whole rip the whole thing up the next season because the manager's been a disaster. The players haven't been good enough. There's loans going back to their clubs that you can't secure, like Sasima and all the Evans, you know what I mean? And that has never helped our case. Even when we're trying to get into the Champions League through the qualifiers or stuff, we've always been behind because we've been trying to secure that. However, it looks like now that we actually have players that we can bed them in for this season. They look quite good on the eye for now. And as I say, they're helping other players in the squad when they came on. We've seen it last night, you know, and helping making them better. And that means that we've got a basis to go for next season. And that's something we haven't had for a long time. And it means then we can start in the front foot for once. And it's been a long time, Scotty, since we've had that, hasn't it? You know, like how many seasons, can we remember the last time we've had a season, Scott, where we started and went, see that core of 6 or 7 down the spine? There are players, and we're going to build on them this season. And it's always been 12 signings here and 13 going out the door there. And maybe this will be, as Marcus says, the first time that we'll actually have our own players in that we can look at the start of next season and go, right, well, we don't need to go 15 players. We maybe need 3 or 4 certain areas to help them out, you know, and that might actually help us next season to start in the front foot for once.
I think you hit the nail on the head, William. It has been difficult because we've changed managers quite a lot. So when new managers come in, they want different type of players. They want their own players in. So I think we've been chopping and changing a lot. A lot of players we've brought in, have they been up to scratch? Have they been up to quality? But every signing is a gamble, no matter if they cost £10 million or a free transfer. Every signing is a gamble. But I think you can see by the quality we brought in January. Listen, these guys have come in, they've done relatively well. We're all on a high with the 4 of them, but we have to look over the next few games and see how they do. But I think with the profile they're now going for and the age they're now going for, you can see they're trying to build something for next season and beyond, because they're not having to like bring a player in and I think that he's only going to be here a while. Maybe he will be because maybe if they're decent, we get big money for him. Like Kisama's £11 million. I still don't understand why we never took that. I'm sorry, but I know he's potentially a very good player, but I think over that short period of time, I think we could have made money and then got somebody else, but that's just me. I know a lot of people do like him, and the manager said him as well, and he's worked with him a long time, more than me know him, so submit the offer I wouldn't have took, so I don't think that's enough to tempt you, because I think there's a big selling clause as well with him, so you're only going to make a lot of it, Jimmy. But I think, like I say, the profile has been really good in January. The profile in the summer isn't as good, and I think the loan deals were just trying to bulk up the squad to what he wanted to be. I agree with the defence was all kind of loans, and you can't really get any consistency there for all loan players because they don't know each other until they come through the door. They're not going to be here next season, probably, and then you have to rebuild with Tar out of contract, and then you've got Sutter out of contract. Cornelius, a few people mentioned him. I don't know if you've got an option, I don't know if I would take that. He's been injured for a while. He's been injured before. He was okay, but he never really. I wasn't that impressed. I was unimpressed. He was okay. I think we maybe get better. Do you know that way? So I don't know what the price would be, but I might be looking for something else. But I think we have to start. Loan market you're always going to use. I was listening to Sky with the transfer window was on, and also on the radio station, and one of the agents was saying a lot of teams use the loan market more. If you look at even the window, nobody's bought a lot of players for money. It's been a loan to buy, a loan with an obligation. That's the way they're buying players now, because a lot of teams have too many players in their books, so they want them off the wage bill, so they give them to a loan, and they say, right, if you want to buy them, here's an option, or if you really want them but you can't afford them, here's an obligation. So I think that's the way football is going, with a loan with something else. So I think that's just the way of the world, because money's so tight. But I do agree, we need more of our own players in long term, but the only thing is, I could do well for Rangers up in Scotland, you will get offers, which is a good thing, but it also means you're having to start to look for somebody else. Isn't it? Like Nadiri will come in, or any ones if come in, if they do really well, Mikey Moore's, you take him back in a heartbeat, and I think Mikey Moore will come back in a heartbeat, but it's Tottenham's player, and if they want him to go to England and play next, or Europe, he's not got a say and we're not got a say. So I think at this moment in time, Mikey Moore, we're just going to have to enjoy him until the end of the season. Hope he walks away with a couple of medals.
Yep, no, I agree with that. I mean, let's say if we can get Mikey Moore on loan for next season again, then you take it all day long. I think someone was showing, I made a comment of maybe trying to get Raskin on a certain deal, but I think I just have a feeling Spurs want him. They know what he can be, and they want that, obviously. But at the minute, with the way the Premier League is, the amount of money there is down there, so I think
William Marcus, much do you think Mikey Moore would cost? You see, like Oscar Bob leaving City right to go to Fulham. You've seen that boy for Wolves going to Palace for 48 million. How much would Mikey Moore be worth in the market down in England? Because the market in England is very, very inflated. Do you know what I mean?
My brother supports Spurs, so it's quite. Yeah, he does genuinely. And we were talking about this when Brendan Johnson, who was in the Europa squad with Mikey Moore, he scored the goal in the final. He's not a bad player, but when you think he goes to Crystal Palace for 35 million, it's just completely different ballpark, isn't it? And then they obviously got Gallagher for the same fee, but it's a really good one. I think I'm like us all. I'd love us to secure him again for another year. It's not insurmountable, but I think we're going to have to cough some things up. But there's no question that he's attracting a lot of interest, and for Spurs particularly, they're in different form at the moment. They're crying out for a bit of creativity. So if he was to be sold, I know Spurs wouldn't. If you think Brendan Johnson's 35, then he's got to be a lot more than that, in my opinion. Even allowing for the fact he's a young player, so his wages will go up as well. So it's a difficult one, but he's certainly, and it's actually quite a testament to him as an individual, and it's a testament to Rangers and Danny Röhl seems to have really impacted on his development, that all of a sudden, just a lone player going out, he's actually created a hell of a lot of interest.
You mean one of my mates is a Spurs season ticket holder. He actually stays in Bournemouth, but he's a Spurs fan because that's who he's dad supported and stuff. And he goes all the time, when I spoke to him about Mikey Moore before he came, because I never knew who Mikey Moore really was. And he told me his best position is probably off the front man or as a 10. But when he came in and started playing out wide for us, I thought maybe we know something else. But I think you can see overall he's better in the free role. You just let him do what he does. Because I think that's where you get the best of him. Like I said earlier, don't you pigeonhole him. I think off the striker or just anywhere in the front, just let him roam. I think he will create. Also think he will score. But the boy's at an age where he's not scared to play. He doesn't hide if he makes a mistake. And if he does lose the ball, his first instinct is, I want to win that ball back. Whereas others don't. And you just don't want that to be coached out of him. Because I think if it is, that'll not really help him. You want him to always be like this. But you know yourself, for young players, when they get older, things get coached out of them, or they get more scared to make mistakes because they don't want to be criticised.
Yeah.
And another thing, sort of good thing is for Mikey Moore is when he came to Rangers were a basket case. Like, we were in a really awful place. Don't forget, like, it wasn't that long ago our manager was getting chased out of Falkirk, literally. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a lot. That is a lot for a young player to come through. You know, he's probably going, "What on earth is going on at this club? I'm here to learn a bit of football, and it's all crazy. The first team coach and all is getting stuck in Falkirk. We can't get out of the place." And to come after that, Marcus, and show, and he's always tried. You know, that's the thing about him. And he's, you know, and a lot of even myself at times, I was thinking he's just not going to work for us. You know, there was times, if you look back at the I'd have said that at the start. I suppose we all thought that about a lot of the players, if we're being honest, at the time. But he credit to him for coming through it, and he's just week by week he's just getting more confidence, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I think people tend to forget when he first couple of months he was 17, and you know, for a 17-year-old to play senior football, that's a step up. For a 17-year-old to come to a club like Rangers is another very big test, away from a home, one of the biggest football clubs in the world. So that's, you know, take the football side. And then, as you say, the team was completely dysfunctional. The Scott said for some reason he was tended to be played out wide, which I don't think was his best position. So I think that was stemming his development. He was playing in a dreadful team. And then I think his mental resilience to come through that, good coaching by Danny Roll, playing more of a central role. And as a result, I think the whole sort of cog gets going because of the confidence, etc. And you know, I think he deserves a lot of credit, as I said, because Danny Roll always goes on about what it takes to be a Rangers player. We all know that. You know, you're under a lot of scrutiny. It's a fantastic club, but you've got to, you know, you've got to do the business. And the thing that's impressed me, besides his football skills, is, you know, he's one of the first people to actually want the ball and demand it, as opposed to sort of shy away or just play, you know, a 10-meter pass to nobody. It just clocks up the stats, so to speak. But he really does, you know, he really does want something to happen. And you know, I think his development, you know, since the start, and I'm hoping that we'll see even more these remaining 13 games, and then obviously the cup games. I think it's exciting because I feel we can see a lot more as well.
Scotty, we'll move on.
Is Mikey Moore not get an Ulster man like yourself? Is that not his girlfriend's dad, Warren Feeney? Is it no?
I'm not too sure, actually. If I read something, but I'm not 100%.
I could be wrong, but I'm sure it's. He mentioned that his dad played with in England, but he also played in Northern Ireland. I'm sure it's Warren Feeney. I could be wrong.
Maybe bring him into one of maybe bring him into one of the local clubs over here, and he'll just be forced to come back next season. Maybe try that one.
Maybe that's because he said his girlfriend's dad is always going about Rangers and stuff, and I'm sure it's him. So if it is, then get him over to Belfast, get him over to Lisbon, give him a couple of nights out.
He'll be shaking. Can I come back? Well, see, another player, so we're sort of towards the end, but another player I want to give a bit of credit to, guys, because we've given him some stick as well, and rightly so at times. But I thought now, I didn't like his attire. I don't know what those trousers were about the Shiga was wearing. I wasn't all for that, but it looked like one of the founding fathers, to be honest, run about. But playing wise, Scott, I think Jake has been okay the last few games, and as I say, he's took a lot of stick, and he has a lot of confidence when and you could see that, especially at the Hampton game and other games after that, and people the confidence that he was just shot to pieces. But since he's come back, to be fair to him, I think he's been okay.
He's not a young lad that's not played a lot of football since he's went to Wolves. Do you know what I mean? We brought him up here, and we've all looked at the price tag of Coswell's and just automatically thought he's a world class defender. But the boy's not played a lot of football. He's no. We can £10 million a lot to us, but to a Premier League club, it's not. Do you know that way? He's brought him as a potential centre back in the future. Will he be at Wolves next season, the season after? We don't know. But listen, he's got a mistake in him. All players, all defenders in Scotland have, but he's always bounced back. And I thought he'd been okay recently. I thought in Porto was okay. I thought last night he was okay. Would I leave him out aside for Fernandes? Yes, because I think Fernandes gives him more goal threat. I think you seen it last night with the set pieces about Big Manny there. I think we struggled, but I think he takes opposition's eye onto him a lot and gives others space. So I'll bring in Fernandes, but Jigger's done okay. His recovery's good, but sometimes the recovery is because he makes a mistake first of all, so he has to recover. But as for his outfit last night, I don't know if it was his pyjama trousers, if it was long johns, or as if he was trying to be like a founding father. We don't know, but I was laughing. I just thought it was quite funny because he just seen him. He didn't, I know Gisama wears like skins, leggings, but he wears them and he tucks them into his socks and stuff. Jigger just, I don't know. It's like he went to pre-map before the match and got a pair of trackies, didn't he?
He looked like, remember that old Crystal Palace goalkeeper? He used to run about with the trackies in the Premier League years ago. What do you think, Marcus, of Giga? That's what I'm saying. Like, and I agree with what Scotty's saying there. You know, when Manny Fernandes comes back, you're playing Manny and Big John Suter, you know, every day of the week. But he's had to come on a few games because Suter was out, and then obviously now Manny's out. So I think he's done a job as he's come in.
It's definitely improved, and as I say, I don't think it's going to be first choice, but we're going to be needing these players, hopefully not through injury or just spelling players. And whilst it'd probably be a bit alarming the early part of the season, I agree. The last 2 or 3 games, maybe it's a bit of consistency, a bit of confidence. His his fitness levels are up, and as a result, I think he's likely to make a better contribution, albeit not first choice. So I think the whole thing is interlinked. It's similar to what I was saying with Mikey Moore and Antman earlier. I just think if the team's functioning a bit better, people are doing their jobs, you can concentrate a bit more on what you're doing as opposed to looking around. And I think that's probably been the case with him. And as a result, I think his level of performances over the last 2 or 3 games have been better.
And last thing we'll go on about Scotty and then Marcus. We'll talk about the actual Jonah made their 4 goals from open play last night. And that's something Rangers have struggled badly with. And we don't create chances. Like, that's something we've done. Do you give that? I honestly think it wasn't just the fact of the new guys in the midfield and all doing work and Romans. I think it was actually a lot to do with Nadiri as well, and because he was always making himself available and trying to run into space as well, and it all worked. But it was good to see. It's been a long time since we've scored. I would say I don't think we've done it in another game this season. 4 goals from open play. I would say that's probably the first time we've done that this season. But that's another good thing going forward, Scotty. If we can start to do that as well as our corners.
Yeah, as I think you've seen in a lot of games this season, we've struggled to create chances, haven't we? We've created 1 or 2, we maybe took them all. We've been set pieces has helped us a lot this season as well. We turned into Arsenal for a while. But I think just trying to create from open play, we have to create more because we've got the players in the door. We've already had the players here. It was just maybe the way we played. I know when Danny Rowe came in, he wanted to stop leaking goals because at the start of the season we were leaking a lot of goals. But defensively, we've been quite good. Obviously, you get Butland's been playing really well, but he's also liable to that odd mistake as well. But let's see, all goalkeepers and defenders are. Usually, goalkeepers cost you more when they make a mistake than defenders. But we have to start creating more volume. That's sure. Against Hibs, I think that was one of the problems I was annoyed about. We were poor, but we didn't really create anything. Do you know that way? We didn't really help Schmidt. He was running a lone battle up there himself. We didn't really get players around about. We didn't get when he had the ball. We didn't get players up to him quick enough and. Whereas last night you seen a difference in the second half, and yeah, like we can all look back and say it was against 10 men, it was against Kilmarnock, but you still have to do it. So hopefully the boys that were on the park last night and Danny Rill's seen something. We have to, because the best way to play is on the front foot, because if you're creating chances, it stops our team coming on to you. And that's what Motherwell do well. They can pass the ball, they hold on to the ball, and I still don't have 100% sure. Somebody could tell me in the comments, probably Shona, because she's up to stuff last, but I still don't have a really 100% what Danny Rill's style is. Because I spoke to a few Sheffield Wednesday fans. It's the boys that come on to our pod and they still keep in touch with us, asking how things are going, and they keep telling me he's more a defensive manager and he is an offensive manager, but I don't really know, because when he's come in the door, it was a bit of a shit show. He got us back on even keel, he got us pushing forward. That I still feel we'd rather not concede and then look at scoring goals. You can see that the way the defence is, but I don't. With the players he's got, we should be creating more, put it that way. I think we have to be creating more between now and the end of the season.
I'll say one thing for Danny Rule, because there's two management stints that he's been involved in. Was number one a Sheffield Wednesday that were getting beat every single game. So the first thing you're going to have to do as a manager is, the first thing is, right, let's stop leaking goals and look at that first. And I think that's what's happened under Rangers as well. You know, it was all about how do we stop conceding stupid goals, which we're doing under Russell March. It was at Cantor sometimes the goals that were coming in against us. So I'm hoping, but I know what you're saying too, because you're starting to go, right, well, we're getting wins, but it's scrappy and it's scruffy, Marcus. But you're looking, what are we going to do now offensively? We've got the defence sorted, but what are we going to start doing now going forward? But I think if now these new signings coming in, it is going to take them a while to bed in. They've done well there in the second half. If they start doing the job and doing and creating chances, and you also have your defence as tight as we have it, you know, that'll be a good remedy for success. And I felt bad for the defensive market sometimes, because if you win the game, if you create chances and you're 2 up, then your defense can actually relax, and the more you're attacking, the less time they're, you know, in trouble. But when you're always 0-0 or just that one goal in front, it's always going to be more nervy for your defense, isn't it? Because you haven't killed the game off. So it's a catch-22. But and I know where Scott's coming from there. But if we can start to score the goals on open play and see that, then I think it'll take the pressure off the defense.
I think I'll answer it in 2 points. I mean, I've written it down, do a bit of research. The 17 games Danny Roll's taken in charge, we've won 13, drawn 3 and lost 1, 42 out of 51 points, and significantly 10 clean sheets. And I think he unashamedly, when he came in, said, well, we've just got to win. And the team was a bit disjointed. I think he shored it up. There was an emphasis on defence. And I like the way he very quickly in press conferences alludes to a clean sheet if we get it. So I think it was a necessity, but I'm hoping with, 5, I appreciate one was a penalty, but 5 different scorers last night. We only, 21 outfield goals in 23 games. So we've added 4, which is good. I'm confident with the change of personnel that we will actually start to see more attacking football. And obviously we need to shore the defence up, but I don't think the emphasis will be totally on that. And I believe Scott made a good point there. What is his style? I don't think we'll truly see what Danny Roll's style is until probably next season. I think we've seen a change, and we'll see the team evolve with these new players with more of an emphasis on attacking. But it's probably not going to be until next summer that it will become evident. One thing I think has been very, very crystal clear, I think the players coming in are good footballers, but they're also physically bigger than we've had before. We don't look like a high school team running out anymore. There's physically big players. So I think that's clearly evident as well. But hopefully, if we can start scoring a lot more goals, and I think you're right, William, that the defence still need to be wide awake, but it might just take a little bit of pressure off them, and then they can be a bit more creative as well.
Well, on that point, guys, I think that was a great wee show. Marcus, great points as always. Scotty, yourself, mate, always welcome on here. And everyone that commented and stuff. It was a last-minute show, but I love doing that because you don't mind doing last minute shows when Rangers are playing well and get you. You know what I mean? It's worse when we're not playing well because normally you're like Thursday night, nah, I can't be bothered. But the likes of tonight has got that excitement. But Scotty, I would say everyone that's watching here knows your podcast because it's always the same ones. Because our podcasts are so similar, we always get the same people back and forth. But and for anyone who maybe is watching Scotty hasn't watched yours before, do you want to let them know where to find you and stuff?
Yeah, you can find us on YouTube. We're on a Monday and a Friday night. It's called Not Another Rangers Podcast, and it's always free to air. There's no subscription charges. We only do 2 a week, so we just come on, talk about Rangers, and if you want to watch, you can watch. If you don't, man, ask somebody else to watch. But no, it's good. We don't take it. We're not serious. We don't think we know everything. We just talk about Rangers because that's what we love.
Yep, 100%. And Marcus, again, mate, thank you for coming on. I hope you've had an enjoyable show.
No, I've enjoyed it, and as always, I keep one eye on the comments. Some really good comments coming in, and it really makes you think. Some good thought evoking comments, and it's also been great to meet and listen to Scott as well. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, Marcus, sent me yourself. I say I've listened to a few shows you've been on since you started with William and Baz, and they've been really good shows, but it's the first time I've met you, so it was nice to meet you and do a pod with you.
There you go, guys. Well, I say thank you everyone who's been watching and all the comments as usual, and even the ones who maybe haven't been commenting but just been watching, and a lot of people do that as well. So if any of you haven't subscribed, just hit the wee subscribe button, and anytime we're on, you can get that. And it's the same as our good friend Scotty at Not Another Rangers Podcast. If you want after here, just go on to that and find their page because they've got cracking shows all the time. If you like our show, you'll love their show. It's the same, just banter. We don't think we know anything because we don't. We just try our best and have a bit of a laugh. And sometimes we get it right, sometimes we get it wrong. But one thing we have is we love the Rangers, and so far everything's going good. So cup game coming up, and hopefully with me and Baz and Marcus are with you on Monday. We'll still be happy Bears, and we've got a bit of a revenge in the Scottish Cup against the Queens. But again, thank you everyone. I really enjoyed that. So speak to you soon.